Yeah, I will first present what Age Platform Europe is. So it's a European federation of around 160 organizations, which are organizations of and for older persons. So it aims to voice and to promote at EU level what older persons want and need. So we want to be involved in every policy and research project, every policy or research process which matters for older persons. So we follow all EU legislative processes, such as the eAccessibility directive we have spoken about this morning, and we are also involved in around 15 projects. This might be research projects, but also projects on citizenship or on adaptation of environments. So there we aim at raising awareness on user needs and wishes. We work also with other EU networks, such as the European Disability Forum, and we lead also EU-wide campaigns when we think that it's a good momentum to raise awareness about older persons' needs. For instance, at the moment we are running a campaign for the EP elections in May. Our guiding principles is based on the solidarity for a society of all ages. So we promote intergenerational solidarity. We see older persons as a resource. It's not because you are above 60 years old that you don't have any contribution anymore to make in the community. And we also see older persons as self-advocates. So older persons should be able to speak on their own behalf. Who are older persons? It's not because we usually speak about the group of older people that it's only one homogeneous group. It's when you are 60 is not the same that when you are 90. If you are healthy at 70 is not the same if you are unhealthy at 60, and so on. So that was a quote one of our experts made during a conference. So people have differences, and we have to take them into account. That's why we have developed different ways of involving them in policy and research processes. So how do we represent our members? So we try to represent them from the outset. We try to be there from the beginning of the research, in the proposal drafting, to be sure that their views are not taken about too late. That means that the process won't be able to be changed or improved anymore, or not as much as it could have been. I've summarized the way we involve users in 3 different types. The first one is the user fora, the second one, the advisory board, and the third one, the task forces. So I will briefly present what I understand with these 3 ways, and then I will also give you some practical examples coming from projects we have been involved in. The user forum. So the user fora are quite an informal setting to share and test ideas, technologies, and services. There we want we aim at involving as well as laypersons and experts. So we want different point of views on the services or the idea which is discussed. The idea is to collect practical insights from everyone. We don't want the users to be necessarily experts in the field. That's the way we think that it will help the research to really succeed in practice. And of course, there the use of plain language is a must. The advisory board, so that's a more permanent group of experts who are also representative of older persons. That is used in projects where there are pilot sites, and we ask a certain number of experts to follow the whole project and to be able to give their expertise there. So that ensures long-lasting contribution of expertise and experience for the project partners. The task forces, it's the new name we use for the expert groups. Age, policy and research work is based on our members, of course, and on the experts they nominate. So we have set up 14 task forces, which range from standardization to accessibility, minimum income, dignified aging, for instance, and there we informed our experts about the latest developments in EU policy level, at EU policy level, and we also make the link with the research project to be sure that they are able to have a global picture, a good overview of what is happening at policy and at research level. So there they contribute to consultations, they help drafting the policy papers, they share and discuss literature and studies, they exchange ideas, experiences, and they suggest us ways forward. So now I will explain you a bit how we do in practice. So there are the questionnaires first. So I know that Stefan already mentioned the questionnaires. That's kind of basic tool we use, but these questionnaires might create difficulties as when people are asked to fill in these questionnaires alone. They might, we see that it's just one. It can be only one way of doing. Because we want to be sure that that we ensure the adequate level of engagement and that the right answers are provided. So often we tend to prefer interviews, face-to-face or telephone interviews, to be sure that someone is there to guide the respondents, to be sure that he or she understands the process. I will briefly just mention the ASAPS project. So the ASAPS project aims at enhancing the visibility of European research on brain health. And the idea at the beginning of the project was to launch a survey to know what matters for older persons about their brain, about the cognitive decline, to be sure that when we will launch the campaign to communicate the results of the research, we will address the right topics. The focus group. So the focus group is another form of group discussion with selected people. So the objective is to gather different perspectives and attitudes on a certain topic. Usually we also mix person with and without expertise. The groups are rather small, 6-8 people, and do not last longer than 2 hours to be sure that everyone has the possibility to speak, to exchange, but it's not discouraging if it would have lasted too long. So the interaction is characteristic of focus group, and there the moderation is very important to be sure that everyone can speak, can share ideas, but also that the individual opinion that the group opinion is more important at the end. For instance, the Innovate project has a full research cycle on user-driven housing, and they aim at organizing a focus group every year. For instance, last year they invited 26 end users, 20 experts on older persons' needs, and 10 professionals on housing. And that was thanks to this mix of people that they managed to find out social innovation related to housing for older persons. The pilot site visits, that's a way of doing which is very linked to the advisory board. So as I mentioned, the advisory boards are usually set up when the project is running pilot sites. And there the advisory board is invited to visit each pilot site to meet with the participants, with the users, for instance, testing the technology. They are also attending meetings with the partners to be sure that they can interact both at all different levels of the project. And they can then provide feedback and possible ways to improve the project during its life course. That was done with in the Dreaming and a Home Sweet Home project, which aim at testing ICT-based technologies for home assistance and telemonitoring. How do we assess users' participation? So after each focus group, after each user fora, we ask participants to fill in evaluation questionnaires. That's a very useful tool for us, as when it's at the beginning of the project, it gives us ideas and some feedback which help us improve the project and the format of the next user group organized within the project. The advisory board members are usually asked to fill in feedback reports. We ask them to tell us what their expectations were before the visit and after, to be sure that to understand how they reacted to what they have seen in the pilot sites. And another way of assessing older persons' feedback in project was done in the Home Sweet Home project. Because there, the advisory board suggested the partners to carry out a qualitative study which aimed at finding what were the enablers and the barriers to user acceptance for ICT. And there the project partners ask every participant in every pilot site a series of questions to be sure that we understand what their reaction is to technologies, and that will help us now draft the next project proposals on ICT. So yeah, AGE has 160 organizations, so how do we report back to them? We use different channels, such as our newsletter, our news flashes, the expert group meetings where we discuss the research project's outcomes. We also have statutory meetings such as the General Assembly and the Council of Administration where we present what we do. We also email some of our members on specific issue when we want their feedback. We publish brochures also and policy papers. And we have our AGE websites where we add all the news. So what do we learn? AGE is indeed promoting very much user involvement, and we have listed all the benefits for both older persons, project managers, but also for the society as a whole. So for the society, for the older persons, we have seen that participation allows to increase the sense of ownership of research developments. It reduces the feeling of being exploited by research and enhances social participations. So it helps really the users, older persons we are representing, to understand what is happening at EU level and how research will benefit them in the coming years when they will be able to benefit from the services and the technologies. For researchers, user involvement ensure that researchers understand users better, and most of all, it reduces the gap between research and practice. We often notice that researchers and older persons or users don't speak the same language, and there we can find a way to encourage a consensus between the different needs and way of things. And it also helps achieve better research results, and that's, of course, impact business development and innovation. For the society, it reduces the risk of ageism. It allows society to understand better what older persons want. It also ensures that research priorities reflect those of users, and that the money and resources which are used in research are not wasted and are targeting real needs. So doing so, it increases the real impact of research on society, and it helps everyone improve services and products for the benefit of society as a whole. So, thank you.